For all our viewers, do you think you can introduce yourself? So your name, grade, what field you'd like to pursue in the future, and a fun fact.
Right. I'm Annie Zhou. I'm a high school junior going to a pre-engineering intensive high school. So I'm interested in pursuing engineering or computer science in the future, particularly something in artificial intelligence. And a fun fact about me is that I really like bubble tea and I sell it every week at my school. And one day I want to open my own bubble tea shop.
Okay, I'll definitely come when you open your shop because I love bubble tea as well. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your high school and like basically how you got into STEM and how your experience has been?
Right. So I guess I'll just start with how I got into STEM and then transition to my high school.
Mhm.
So I first tried to start going into STEM when I went to a summer camp when I was in fifth grade. And it was sort of like an engineering camp where they gave you
Mhm.
a bunch of different challenges. But like on the very first day, I saw that I was the only girl there. So that made me really uncomfortable. And like, since a lot of it was team based too, I just felt really out of place. And
Mhm.
for a long time, I just felt like I didn't really belong. I didn't really have the engineering mindset. So that kind of discouraged me at first. As I progressed, I got more into coding. So I did Khan Academy's JavaScript
Mhm.
lessons. So I really like those because those are really visual and you're sort of creating an image with your code.
Mhm.
And after that, I was sort of around middle school time,
Mhm.
and for my area, you can choose a bunch of different vocational schools to go to, and one of the options was STEM slash engineering school, and that was the school that I ended up choosing. And
Mhm.
in order to get in, I had to take it. I had to take like a test, and then they choose the 70 top scorers in the county.
Mhm.
And then ever since then, I had a lot more engineering opportunities in my school,
Mhm.
and I still see like that gender disparity, but it's easier because we're more mature, so we sort of recognize it too. And then I'm pretty involved with my school too. Like we have a bunch of technology events that I participate in.
Mhm.
And yeah, I do coding there, and I also go to a lot of hackathons. So that's sort of
Mhm.
how I sustain my interests in high school.
Wow, that's super cool. I know like the gender disparity is crazy and that's why like we're trying to end it. But I'm so glad that your parents like encourage you to start coding at such a young age. I also had a similar experience to you, even though I didn't start that young. I started when I was in 10th grade of high school.
Mhm.
And I joined a class which was like it was like a 30 to 2 male to female ratio. It was a Java class.
Right.
And I liked coding, but I didn't feel like a sense of community there. So I decided like it wasn't for me until I did a camp called Code with Classie, which will all be linked down below in our resources. So basically, it's an all-girls coding boot camp at San Francisco, and that's what really like led me to do coding in the long term. So I'm glad there's programs like that, and that you found a high school and everything that support your desire to like code and learn more about engineering. So that's super cool.
Right.
So are there any projects that you have worked on or that you want to work on in the future that excite you?
Mhm. So right now I'm working on something called AI Imagination. So over my summer of my sophomore year, I went to a summer program called AI for All, which is basically teaching artificial intelligence to people from underrepresented backgrounds. So like those are girls, minorities, people from lower income families.
Mm-hmm.
And there I met a couple of other people. One girl was from California and one girl was from Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sort of talking and realized that there were a few problems in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, there is a lack of diversity in the people who are pursuing computer science and pursuing artificial intelligence. It
Mm-hmm.
was sort of like one type of person. Another problem that we saw was that we all had some kind of background in art, but we felt like whenever people were talking about STEM, they were like specifically excluding art. Like they felt
Mm-hmm.
like the two didn't go together,
Mm-hmm.
but we felt that there was some natural connection between the two. Like, for example, like in my high school, there's like basically no art program, no music program. And like one time we were analyzing paintings during history class, and someone was like, "Why are you looking at paintings? This is a STEM school. We don't need to look at that."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I sort of realized that this is a common mentality. The project that we started, AI Imagination, is a nonprofit that aims to teach computer science, particularly artificial intelligence, to a greater group of people. So we're
Mm-hmm.
targeting people from lower income situations, mainly girls, and also people from racial minorities. And we're trying to teach them with the natural connection between computer science and art because engaging both sides of the brain like
Mm-hmm.
really helps them make that connection and also helps engage all types of learners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because someone might have more of an art brain, but they can still like be interested in computer science if they see demos and like examples of art and computer science. So to do that, we're holding workshops and lessons. So I held a 8-week lesson at my local library,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also held a few workshops, like 1 day workshops at different areas. And coming up soon, I'm gonna have a workshop with 4-H. It's like another organization that is like much bigger. It's like a youth organization.
Okay, got it. I actually went to another camp that AI for All alumni hosted called Create with AI. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, with the neural art, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I went
Yeah.
to one of those workshops in Oakland's like maybe half a year ago. So yeah, it was super cool, and I'm glad that you're starting a program of your own. If you have a website, you can just send that to me, and I'll link it down below so anybody who's interested in that can see it. But yeah, I think it's super awesome that you're starting that and promoting learning computer science and AI. And the connection you brought between art and computer science is great because like we're focusing on STEAM, and art often gets like underrepresented in that field because it's
Right.
not taken as seriously. It's not considered like technological, but it can be. So I'm glad that you're sharing that. So, how do you hope to make an impact in your field through the causes that motivate you?
I guess I'm trying to influence the conversation, um, get people to think more about stuff they don't normally associate with technology. So that definitely comes by stressing about how art has a place in technology. And I sort of hope to like influence people's mindset to include a more multifaceted perspective of that. And I also hope to like increase conversation about the importance of ethics in technology, or like how important technology has how important the impacts of technology are on society,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that also often goes under recognized. So I'm hoping to combine both of these and sort of basically have a more holistic overview of like what technology entails.
Mhm. Yeah, that's one I haven't heard about before, like throughout these interviews, ethics and technology. I think it's an amazing field and something that should be talked about more, especially with like the rise of artificial intelligence. That's something that needs to be enacted by the government and just overall discussed more. So thank you for sharing that. What would you say was like a turning point in your life where you either realized something or it changed your life for the better?
So TSA is like a competition. It's called Technology Student Association.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically has like a bunch of events related to technology.
Mm-hmm.
So in freshman year, I went to the national conference for that,
Mm-hmm.
and they showed a video,
Mm-hmm.
and basically the way the video was framed, it was a narrator asking the kids what they wanted to do in the future. And the kids were saying things like artist slash writer slash historian. The narrator was like, "Oh, that's so cute, but have you thought about STEM?" And then it started talking about like all the great things that technology could do. And then after that, the kids all changed their answers to things like coders and scientists. So at first, I was kind of confused because I felt like these kids could be artists and coders, or like artists and scientists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I realized that I was sort of at like a turning point of my life. I realized that I still had an interest in art and
Mm-hmm.
humanities, and I didn't want to give that up just to pursue like a career in coding. And at that moment, I realized that I had been sort of like shine away from art and humanities because I felt like if I wanted to pursue tech, I had to be 100% for tech. And that's why I didn't really write as much or draw as much. And seeing that video, realizing how like conflicted that video made me feel, made me realize that I had to sort of look back at my
Mhm.
perspective, allow myself to be more open-minded to utilizing both sides of the brain.
Yeah, and like I definitely see that in a lot of like people where they're like in tech jobs or trying to get into the tech industry and they feel like they have to let go of any other passions they have, such as music or art. Some of the interviews you'll see on the channel will be talking about how a lot of girls they never get to share their passion for music or
Right.
art or all these related fields because on their resume all you see are these technical skills and until you really get to know them you'll never find out that they love music or they love art. So, yeah, I think it's a really important conversation to start. That humanities and tech, there's a lot of like intertwined. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know we talked a little bit about the gender disparities at your school. Would you say there's any struggles that you've been through being a female in STEM or just being a student in general? And if you have overcome them, would you like to share how you did that?
I definitely do think that there's still like as much as they're trying to be more progressive, there's still like external pressures, like first of all that were like pushing me away from STEM, and also once I had like a place in it, were sort of alienating me. Obviously, whenever I was working on groups, if it was like in a mainly guy group, they would sort of shift me to documentation work, stuff that required skills like being neat and like doing drawings and like doing sort of documentation stuff like that. And while that's important, it felt like they were purposely doing that because they didn't think I could handle the more like mechanical building or the
Mm-hmm.
hardcore coding. So that was definitely one way that there was bias. And then just in general, it's just hard to start a conversation about this with like everyone in the school because we have a club called Steminist. And although it's like it's a really good purpose, like a lot of the people make fun of it behind its back, which
Mm-hmm.
sort of makes it even harder to sort of speak out against this gender disparity, right? Because people are always going to make jokes or memes about it and sort of like minimize the importance of it. So I think that's one of the main troubles of like the gender disparity in our school.
Yeah. Are there any tips you would have to like get over, especially like being overlooked in groups and stuff?
Definitely don't be afraid to be aggressive. I think there's one problem where like if a girl is aggressive, she's sort of seen in a more negative light than if a guy
Mm-hmm.
is aggressive. Don't be afraid to like take charge of the group,
Mm-hmm.
assign roles yourself, make sure that your skills are known. And I think you should also know that there's always going to be a community of other girls for you because there are tons of resources online. There's like Built by Girls,
Mm-hmm.
there's Girls Who Code, and there's a lot of girls who are going through the same things and
Mm-hmm.
they're overcoming it. And I think that's really powerful because it means that we can all get through this and make a difference. So in future generations, maybe it'll be more balanced and people
Mm-hmm.
won't go through the same things.
Yeah, so for any of our viewers who are going through the same challenges, there are resources linked down below, such as Built by Girls, like you mentioned, Girls Who Code, Code with Classy, all amazing communities of girls in STEM and related fields. So I think that's super important. And this conversation that's being started at companies and at events talking about more diversity and more girls in STEAM is amazing. It's not great to hear, but it's definitely important to learn to how to deal with these challenges. I've heard so many stories of people saying they've just been overlooked in tech. It's good to speak up, be aggressive, just let people know that you have a voice and you have an opinion. So yeah, I would say that's really important. What's the most interesting thing about you that we wouldn't learn from your resume alone?
I think I have a pretty good ability to grasp different perspectives of a situation,
Mm-hmm.
like to sort of like step back and see it from all sides.
Mm-hmm.
And like the reason why I say that is because like a lot of times when I talk to my friends and they're having a problem,
Mm-hmm.
like I help them reason it out. I sort of break down the problem and like see what they can do to what different alternatives they can do, but I always let them make their own choice on what they
Mm-hmm.
wanted. So I think I have sort of like an ability to think things in a more like I guess like psychological slash philosophical lens.
Mm-hmm.
And Like obviously you can't know that from looking at my resume. It's like you know that from like talking to me and like getting really close with me, but I'm really passionate about like helping my friends out, helping them go through with their problems, and I always want to make them happier, and I always hope that I can help them.
Yeah, no, problem solving skills are definitely going to be so important in the workplace. So it's good that you're developing them so early. And yeah, a lot of girls talked about how a lot of parts of their personality aren't seen through their resume. So I definitely think like when you're hiring and everything, it's important to get to know the person you're going to be working with because if all they have is technical skills and no communication skills and no desire to work with the team around them, I don't think that would be a successful hire. So yeah, I think that's super important to share. And to wrap this up, what is some advice you have for a girl looking to start in the STEM field?
Just go for it. Go do it. There are plenty of resources online. There are plenty of people that you can talk to. I think definitely talk to people who have been through, who are a girl in STEM right now, because they'll have plenty of resources to share with you, and sort of try everything. See what you're interested in. So like try out robotics, try out coding, even
Mm-hmm.
try out like electrical engineering, and then you might find something that you're really, really interested in, and
Mm-hmm.
you might find something that you're not as interested in. But that's okay because there are a lot of different opportunities in STEM, and you'll never know what you'll like until you try it.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree, and that's like one of the reasons I started this series is also to just see that people in STEM look just like us. You know, it's just like girls who just went for it and just tried coding, even though we're not so represented in the field when you look at like the top executives. And I think it's important to, like you said, just do it, just start and see where it goes, and you might just find that it's something that you're really interested in and something that you might want to pursue in the long term. All right. So with that, thank you so much, Annie, for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you so
Um,
much for having me.
yeah, of course. And then if you send me the link for the AI program you're starting, I'll link it down below. And for all our viewers out there, thank you again for watching another episode of Letting Off Steam on this channel. Make sure to subscribe below and like this video. More amazing interviews to come, more stories. So again, thank you so much for joining us.